Jam Vishnuparam Saparvaracharya Ashtottara Shri Srimad A.C. Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON Beauty Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivaracharya Ashtottara Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jam Vishnupada Srila Gaurav Kishodas Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Jam Vishnupada Srila Sachidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Jam Vishnupada Vishnu Sarabhoma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Jai Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Das Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopika Shamakund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki jai. Shri Vrindavan Mayapur Dham ki jai. Shri Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi ki jai. Shri Gangamai Yamunamai ki jai. Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. ISKCON Vartaman Guru Vrinda ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Brahmananda Hare Hare. All glories to assemble, all glories to assemble devotees, all glories to assemble devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauri. Hare Krishna. Thank you again for giving me an opportunity to learn and share my understanding on Bhagavad Gita. Today we are going to discuss on chapter 15, shloka number 16. The chapter is Yoga of the Supreme Person. And dvāv imau puruṣau loke kṣaraś cākṣara eva ca kṣaraś sarvāṇi bhūtāni kūṭa-stho ucyate. Dvāv imau puruṣau loke kṣaraś cākṣara eva ca kṣara sarvāṇi bhūtāni kūṭa-stho ucyate. Dvāv imau puruṣau loke kṣaraś cākṣara eva ca kṣara sarvāṇi bhūtāni kūṭa-stho ucyate. Word to word meaning. Dvāv two, imau these, puruṣaha living entities, loke in the world, kṣaraḥ fallible, cha and, kṣaraḥ infallible, eva certainly, cha and, kṣaraḥ fallible, sarvāṇi all, bhūtāni living entities. Sorry. Okay. kūṭa-stho in oneness, kṣaraḥ infallible, ucyate is said. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. There are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible. Purport. As already explained, the Lord in His incarnation as Vyasadeva compiled the Vedanta Sutra. Here, the Lord is giving in summary the contents of the Vedanta Sutra. He says that the living entities, who are innumerable, can be divided into two classes, the fallible and infallible. The living entities are eternally separated part and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When they are in contact with the material world, they are called Jiva Bhuta. And the Sanskrit words given here, kṣaraś sarvāṇi bhūtāni, mean that they are fallible. Those who are oneness with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, Mataji, can you scroll? Sorry. Yeah. Thank you. However, are called infallible. Oneness doesn't mean that they have no individuality, but there is no disunity. They are all agreeable to the purpose of the creation. Of course, in the spiritual world, there is no such thing as creation. But since the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as stated in the Vedanta Sutra, is the source of all emanations, that conception is explained. According to the statement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, there are two classes of living entities. The Vedas give evidence of this, so there is no doubt about it. The living entities who are struggling in this world with the mind and senses have the material bodies which are changing. As long as a living entity is conditioned, his body changes due to the contact with matter. Matter is changing. So the living entity appears to be changing. But in the spiritual world, the body is not made up of matter. Therefore, there is no change. In the material world, the living entity undergoes 6 changes: birth, growth, duration, reproduction, then dwindling and vanishing. There are changes of the material body. But in the spiritual world, the body does not change. There is no old age, there is no birth, there is no death. They all exist in oneness. Kṣaraś sarva bhūtāni. Any living entity who has come in contact with matter, beginning from the first created being, Brahma, down to a small ant, is changing its body. Therefore, they are fallible. In the spiritual world, however, they are always liberated in oneness. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I seek blessings for giving me this opportunity so that I can speak something which is meaningful and useful to myself, as well as a service to all the Vaishnavas and to please Srila Prabhupada and my spiritual master. On this special occasion of the Puruṣottam month, we are reading from the Puruṣottam Yoga, which is the yoga of the Supreme Person, this chapter. And here, verses 16, 17, and 18 is also called as Three Shloki of the Gita. Of course, we know there is Chaturi Shloki of the Gita, starting from 10.8 to 10.11. It is called the Chatushloki, and which is very famous amongst the Vaishnava circles. But 16, 15.16, 17, and 18, they are called Three Shloki because they depict the essence of the Vedas by relating the Sambandha Gyan with the Lord. And Prabhupada here opens with saying that, everything is explained in the Vedanta Sutra, and Krishna is also giving the essence of the Vedas. So we see in 15.15, Krishna says that he is the compiler of the Vedas, and the essence of all the Vedas, the goal of the Vedas is to understand him. So by just going deeply, studying the 16, 17, and 18, one can understand their relationship with the Lord. Because in the 16th shloka, Krishna speaks about the fallible and infallible living entities. And in 17th shloka, Krishna establishes himself as a super soul, how he is the top infallible person. And in 18, he actually establishes himself as the Puruṣottama, the Supreme Person, and why one has to surrender unto him. So this is the goal. He is the goal. So how to reach the goal? And Vedanta Sutra is also means Anta. So the whole essence of the Vedanta, Anta, is to come in connection with the Lord. And interesting, I fallible and infallible. I was thinking that maybe they will need some, but it came surprise for me. The true fallible dictionary, it means likely to make mistakes, and that of the meaning of the infallible means never making mistakes, always doing what is supposed to be done. So that means they are never failing. So here itself, even if we understand the simple English meaning, we come to an understanding that one knows what they're doing and one is in ignorance. Because of ignorance, one makes mistakes, right? And one who knows, who has the proper knowledge, they know what to be done and what not to be done, and they don't make mistakes. And I thought this is very interesting because this is what actually the reason why the living entities in the material world are called fallible. So in this particular shloka, we are discussing about the two categories of living entities. Krishna says that one is kṣara and one is the kṣara. The kṣara is the fallible and kṣara is the infallible. And they both can be situated in different situations. One without an understanding. So although they are there, but they're always going through this temporary unreal situation. Whereas the fallible ones, they are in oneness with the Lord. So they never make mistakes and they know the purpose of their existence. And here Srila Prabhupada also clearly specifies that oneness with the Supreme Lord doesn't mean that they don't have the individuality, but they have the oneness in desire and oneness in purpose. So there is no disunity because they both are they both have the same common interest. That is, Krishna wants us to revive our relationship with him. And as a jiva, as we hear from Krishna and in the Vedas, in the Shastra also, that we are the eternal part and parcel of the Lord. We have relationship and it's been forgotten. So now is the time to revive that relationship. So this is the oneness. When they both are in oneness of the same interest, they are never disunited. They are united in this purpose. And also, what happens when the living entity is in the matter? Why is some living entities become fallible and why some living entities become infallible? One is the purpose, they know the purpose. And other is the one who doesn't know the purpose, means he is in ignorance, which also means he is having a misidentification. So what is he misidentifying himself with? He's misidentifying with the external coverings, the subtle and the gross coverings. And here Prabhupada very clearly explains that the living entity in the material world is undergoing 6 changes, sadvikar. So that is the birth, growth, duration, reproduction, dwindling, and vanishing. And Prabhupada also gives an example in 11th canto, like there is a tree that stands in all seasons, but according to the change of the seasons, the fruits and flowers keep changing. Some seasons, the tree is able to produce fruits and flowers. In some seasons, there are no leaves, no flowers, no fruits. So, and it's also going through the change. Similarly, the material, when a living entity accepts a material body, the living entity is the same, but because of the material body has to go through these changes, the changes are happening. So the changes are birth, death, growth, reproduction, dwindling, and manipulation. And so we do have a choice power, whether we want to stay as fallible or we have a choice to become infallible. That's why Krishna is mentioning the 2 living entities. So one is in oneness with my purpose, my desire, and the other is not. But now you have a chance. So this is like exercising our choice power. Which way and what do you want in your existence, in your purpose of the existence? I was also thinking in the chemistry, there are some reactions there are some chemical reactions where some are reversible and some are irreversible. So some are like you add the two products or the chemicals. Some they can be reversed, but some they cannot be reversed. But here I was thinking the same example applies to us. We cannot reverse the process that's happening to our material bodies. They have to go through this. They have to go through the 6 changes. But something is reversible is that because I'm not this material body or the subtle body, the mind, intelligence, and ego, I can reverse it just by coming in touch with Krishna, just coming in touch with devotional service. Now, one may ask, so how do I believe it? So Krishna, that's why he says, you have to follow by the source of the Vedas. When we follow through the Vedas, Prabhupada says that Vedas are like mother. If someone wants to know who is the father of the son needs to go to the mother to find out who is the father. So similarly, if we want to establish who we are and what is our relationship with it, we have to look into the Vedas. That's why Krishna is pointing out, you look into the Vedas, because I have compiled. And that's why this is very important, because the Vedas establish 3 processes, Sambandha, Abhidheya, and Prayojana. They give us the relationship. Who are we? What is our relationship with Krishna? And then they give us an activity which help us to have this link between who we are and what is our purpose and with the Lord. That is the devotional service. And the Prayojana, that is the final goal, is to engage in devotional service, to reach Krishna and continue in devotional service. So, and in the, so if we take Krishna's words very seriously, because Krishna himself, he's declaring that there's a possibility that although you are right now in a fallible situation, you can come back to me and enjoy eternal blissful life instead of going through 6 years. And these 6 changes are not simple because they involve a lot of anxiety. And Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, saying that na jayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuya ajo nichyo shashvata ya purano na hanyate hanyamane sirire. So he's explaining to Arjuna, saying that the soul never takes birth or death. It's unborn, eternal, everlasting, and perennial. Even if the body is slain, he is not slain. So that's why you have to take up to the devotional service and you have to listen to Krishna. And we see also Prabhupada explains how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu establishes the principle of Achincha Bheda Bheda Tattva. Here we are in oneness. Simultaneously we are in oneness and different from the Lord. We are in oneness when we have the same purpose and same desire to revive the relationship. And we are different because we still continue to have our own individuality. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita again 2:11, where he's pointing out all the kings, Arjuna, all these kings, they existed in the past. You, me, all these kings existed in the past, in the present, and in the future. So this is saying that individually we all exist all the times, but it's the material covering which is pushing us away from each other. So what is the problem here? So why are we not able to understand that we have to turn to Krishna? See in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says again that, apart from my inferior energies, there is also one superior energy who is struggling with their mind and senses. And because of their struggle with the mind and senses, they are also having misidentification. And because of that, they are not coming to me. Sorry, I'm just paraphrasing because I don't remember the verse right now. So, so Krishna is saying that just by, so what are they doing? They're exploiting the inferior nature of mind. So we belong to the higher nature, but we are marginal. So we are not superior, neither very inferior. We are marginal. Being marginal means we have this choice power. Either we can go towards the inferior nature, or we can go towards the superior nature, that's Krishna, and take shelter of him. So an example I was thinking was sometimes we see people love to go for fishing. So they sit on the bank of the pond or lake, or at the maybe at the ocean, just at the the bridge, and they start fishing. And not all fishers get onto his bait. And I heard this story from a devotee, and he was saying that there is one intelligent fish, although it's there, it's very close to the bait, but it doesn't come and gets caught up in the bait because it's actually hiding itself underneath the feet of the fisherman. So similarly, if we want to escape the influence of the Maya, we have to come in shelter of Krishna. And Krishna says this again in Bhagavad Gita, Daivi Aisha Maya Gunamayi Mama Maya Durataya Mam Eva Prapatyante Mayam Eta Tarantite. So he's saying Prapatyante. So one has to surrender. If you surrender, then this Maya won't be able to do anything to me. Anything to you. Sorry. But if you don't surrender, you have to be sheltered. So you will be sheltered in the Maya. And being sheltered in the Maya, that means that you have to accept the material anxieties and material changes and getting into misidentification. And I was also thinking how in the same purport, Prabhupada is explaining about Nitya Baddha. So this fallible living entities, Prabhupada quotes them to eternally conditioned living entities. And Prabhupada says that why the fallible living entities are called eternally conditioned, because no one can estimate how long they have been bound into this cycle of birth and death. And it seems to be like so impossible to trace out. That's why they are coined as Nitya Baddha. But whereas the infallible are called Nitya Siddhas, who are eternally liberated, who have accepted Krishna's shelter and Krishna's lotus feet and engaged in devotional service, and they're eternally enjoying blissful life. So freedom is possible, but it's possible only when we come to an understanding of who Krishna is and what is our relationship and how to achieve that relationship. And Prabhupada also gives an example in the same purport of Bhagavad Gita 7:14, that a man who is bound by a rope, both hands and feet are bound, he won't be able to free himself. That is our situation. But the one who is free, he can come and he can remove it. So what is an example of that? Now the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is telling that, what is your situation? So Krishna's words, Krishna's instructions, which are the Shastra, and he comes in the form of the Guru, he comes in the form of the Sadhu's instructions. So just by going and taking shelter of the Sadhu Guru Shastra, we will be able to free ourselves. And some of the obstacles also that's found in taking the shelter. I was thinking about it, okay, we know that now we are trying to know where to get to. So we are trying to understand what are the sources of help. But we also need to understand what is causing us to stay in the situation for long. It's because everyone is busy making plans for happiness. Prahlad Maharaj says in Bhagavatam, he is offering so many beautiful prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev. And one of the such beautiful prayer is he's saying, Naivo dvije paradurateya vaitaranyas twadviya gayana mahamrita magna chitta sochetato vimuka cheta saindriyata maya sukha bhara udvahato vimudha. So Prahlad is saying that, my Lord, I'm not distressed. I am actually not afraid of the material existence, because I myself am so much deeply absorbed in your thoughts and in your activities. So I am very unaffected. But I have concern for these living entities who are across that river of Vaitaranya, which is separating the spiritual and material world. And these living entities, they are making elaborate plans to be happy, because that's their nature, right? We want to be happy. And they're making such elaborate plans and they're making every possible situation so that they considerably settle down with their families, societies, and countries. But they don't understand they're in the grip of the mind. They don't understand the power of your external energy. And they don't know how to take shelter of your lotus feet. So his prayer is very captivating, and also very, very heart-touching to see that, the devotees are so soft-hearted. They don't want us to suffer in the so-called happiness, and they want us to pull us through this misidentification and this situation of doing mistake one after another. Because so what's the problem in making plans? Is it a real problem? The real trouble is, every time we are trying to make attempts to be happy, we are making more actions, which are creating more reactions, which are awarding us more and more material bodies, which means we are in the cycle of repeated birth and death. That's what Krishna Prabhupada says. They are nitya baddhas. And from time immemorial, they're continuing to be like nitya baddhas. And so Vaitaranya, so there is a river. Prahlad is pointing out there is a Vaitaranya. And if you cross this Vaitaranya river, there is the spiritual world. And there is where our actual situation is. And that's where we belong to. And so this is where the liberated souls, the Nitya Siddhas, the infallible souls are situated in service of Krishna. In the Bhagavatam 3rd canto, there's beautiful descriptions of the Vaikuntha planets, where the living entities, they're engaged fully in service of the Lord. Whether they're birds, whether they're trees or plants, or herself, Lakshmi Devi is cleaning and dusting the Vaikuntha floors, even though there is no dust, but she wanted to do some service. Or all the plants, they are appreciating the glories and austerities of the Tulsi Maharani. Or all the birds, they stop chirping just to hear the bumblebees humming. Or even we can see how Krishna comes and he displays so many pastimes in Vrindavan, Mathura, and Dwaraka, and captivating. So just by putting our focus onto these pastimes of the Lord, one can become Krishna conscious, and one can cross this ocean of Vaitaranya, and one can become infallible, and which is practically possible. And this is a reversible chemical action that we can take. So how deep is this devotional service and how beautiful is this devotional service is that even if someone makes a very small endeavor, very little endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, but there is a complete protection from falling into further and further degradation, into further lower species, or getting more material bodies where there is no opportunity to practice Krishna consciousness. Krishna says, Neha Bikrama Nasnosti Pratyavayo na vidiyate Swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayato mahto bhayat. Just by doing a little endeavor on this devotional service, accepting devotional service, it protects us. It helps us to cross this river of Vaitaranya and this ocean of material existence and go towards the other side. And Krishna also promises in many places in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says in 8.15, Mamupeti punarjanma dukkhalayam ashashvatam nanupevanti mahatmana samsiddhi paramam gata. So he's saying, after attaining me, great souls, the great yogis in devotion, they never return to this temporary world which is full of miseries, having attained the highest perfection. And again, Krishna says, Krishna not just says, but he actually comes. He displays his pastime and his activities to create an attraction for us to show what is real happiness, where is our real happiness situated. And he also promises in the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma chamev divyam, evam yo veti tattvaha tyaktva deham punah janma naitimam iti so Arjuna. Just if someone understands my birth and pastimes and activities, they will come back to me. They'll come back to my transcendental abode and they will never return back. So it is showing that how Krishna is so much concerned to establish his love for us. He is so much eager to establish that relationship with us, which we have forgotten. And not only that, Krishna again comes in this age of the Kali as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Srimad Bhagavatam explains how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes as Krishnavannam Tvisha Krishnam Sangopangastya Parsadam Yagnai Sankirtana Prayar Yajantihi Sumaidasam. So he's bringing out and much more easy to accept Krishna consciousness by bringing the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, by bringing the Sankirtan moment. And he himself is coming in the golden complexion, and he's not declaring him as a god, but he's showing how a devotee should be. And just by taking the Sankirtan moment, how happy one can become. And Srila Prabhupada writes that in the 8th canto, saying that actually in the Kali Yuga, all the fallen souls, they have no heritage of any kind of spiritual life. But still one gets an opportunity to approach Supreme Personality of Godhead because of the Krishna conscious moment. So how fortunate that we have an access to Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and it's much more easily packaged and given to us by Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada also says that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that Chaito Darpanam Arjunam, that happens by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, what does it mean? It means that one leaves this misidentification of the material body. So just by reading Bhagavad Gita, this particular verse, okay, I understand there's fallible, infallible, okay, I have to go from here to there. But still, it seems to be a little bit more tough. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes, he gives the holy name. Still, we are not able to get to the taste. But Prabhupada purports makes it much more easier and accessible saying that why you have to be chanting Hare Krishna, because it cleans your misunderstanding. And then what happens? You will revive your original identity. And Prabhupada also talks about in the material world, there is a common saying that survival of the fittest. So it's a very common saying, saying that, you know, whoever is strong enough, they can survive and they can beat the rest. But Prabhupada defines it in a very sweet way. He says that survival means one should not die and one should enjoy blissful life. That is the survival. And the one who knows this process is the fittest one. So we see that, you know, everything is so easily made available and accessible. It's just that we have to take it more, at least I have to take it more seriously and sincerely, so that, you know, I can become more Krishna conscious. So just as a conclusion of of today talk, so we discussed about fallible and infallible, and we spoke about the Loke Gita, about the Sambandha Gyan, and how knowing the Sambandha Gyan is not enough, but we have to exercise on our choice power, the choice power to seek the shelter and shelter of Krishna. And we have to understand the soul's real identity. Oh, just 1 second, Mataji, sorry. No, I did lock, sorry. I'm sorry. And then we spoke about Achinta Beda Beda Tattva. We have discussed what's our problems and obstacles. And we have seen the advantages of devotional service and what does Krishna does us to bring us closer to him. And especially when he declares himself as Purushottama, he's not just declaring just for the namesake, but he's really, in that sense, he's the best of the males and he has the best purpose and best interest for us. I stop here, and if anyone has any questions or doubts, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, if anyone has any questions, please raise your hand or ask. You can unmute yourself to ask a question. Any questions or comments?
Okay.
It looks like not today.
Okay, thank you so much. Sorry, I didn't realize the class was short, but please forgive me. And thank you for the opportunity, Mataji.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.